Cliffside. My pronouns are they, them. And this is Cliffside Permaculture. What are you doing up there, Crazy? After a week and a half of dry weather, we finally had some rain. And I feel like the humidity is palpable. Yesterday I dug this. And I want it to be deeper. And yesterday it was bone dry, which tells me it's not going to hold water for very long. Now that the rain's stopped, keeping an eye on it and putting together a short video on that. And just the other day I was mentioning that for cuttings I am wanting to try a method that will be here instead, and I want to show you why. Do you see how high our water table is? I put in a bunch of wood chips the other day too. I think this was Saturday and the hole digging was Sunday. And underneath all of this is the cleaned up bird stuff. So that's gonna be pretty hot. I actually just dumped it all and then covered it with wood chips. That should really leach a lot of nutrients in right here and possibly scorch the plants. We'll see. But yes, massively high water table right here. Less so over here, but it's still standing water. While these are sitting like this, it'll be interesting to come out and see how long they hold water too. But yeah, this is just ugh. You see how full of water that is? The reason the water table's so high on a cliff like this is because while there's so much more down direction for the water to go, I'm the first flat spot for another approximately 180 foot rise there. So while I'm 220 foot up from water level, if you count the river as water level, I'm 170 foot down, and this is the first place it's going to settle as it's running through. There are very typical to steep mountains like this, at least in my region, where the bedrock goes through the mountain, there's usually rising springs coming out. And that is the case near the top of the landslide that's down that way, which I'm working into my design in stabilizing that in putting willows in the spring so that they will stabilize from the water point. For the most part, the rest of the garden is pretty well draining, and I'm strongly considering helping move more of this water away by cutting a trench this direction as well and connecting it up to in front of the elderberries. There's an open trench there, but I think I'd like to convert all of that to this pathway trench method that I've got going all through here. Most of it's much deeper than here. This is a reclaimed piece of bamboo from a trash pile on a loading dock. But this drifts away and ultimately is 2.5 feet deep of just wood chips down towards the end. So the idea is to redirect water away from my porch and down. It also cuts across and then overflows into the area in front of the house there too. So this doesn't even seem to be reaching the sill for the overflow at the moment when it rains, but that doesn't mean we don't want to have, you know, flood event options. The subsoil here, unfortunately, I mean, at least it's not a solid piece of rock, but it is rocky shale clay, which is here, which means I'm busting through tiny little rocks. Like this stuff is interspersed with clay, and then it's transitioning to, at the bottom, which it's only about 1.5 feet deep at this point. At the bottom, it's red clay rock. I mean, it's really a rock, but it also isn't a strong rock. It's almost like a sandstone or a soapstone type of consistency. Actually, yeah, I'd say soapstone, like the stuff that you can get little carvings from at the tchotchke stores that are carved out of stone. That's what it feels like. It's not technically soapstone, but that's the consistency. So it's a soft stone, which will break apart with enough encouragement. I do want to bring more wood chips all through here and get this walkway nice and stabilized. I also need to kind of adjust for some of what I did do. I probably should have left a sill and kept the walkway equally wide going back, but I kind of goofed and it might be a little late now. I don't know. In this direction, I think that the dampness on the porch is simply wind direction, not, and I used to get standing water puddles through here, and I'm not getting those anymore. What's this? Damp, very damp. We did have a serious deluge, but it doesn't look like it's flooding so much as just when the wind blows. Obviously, I need to clean this bird area still, but that one's clean. And they've been out here during the daytime a lot, but the babies that have enough wingspan, like a cat came up the other day and one of them tried to get out, so that happens from time to time, and I still need the roof before I can really trust him out here. I did have a hatch. Unfortunately, it appears that I only got one chick out of an entire 25 eggs. So I don't know what I did wrong this time, but I don't seem to be able to hatch more than 6 birds at a time, no matter how many eggs I put in there. Probably a wrong, crappy incubator type of issue. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Because it was 2 very differently dated eggs. One of them tried to hatch and got stuck, and that was a very freshly put in egg. And then the one that actually lived was from the 23rd, so it was a good week before. The sump pump water's doing pretty good. So this is another water reclaim tool here. I'm in my bare feet, so we're walking a little slow. Yeah. So this is my final overflow spot for the garden, and I have potted cattails in here, and this allows some of the water from my sump pump and out of the French drain going around there to end up soaking in, instead of, although I can see that it's still overflowing and flooding the street, which you can tell from the trail of wood chips going down there. I probably got to go down and sweep. There used to be more of a trench going down the middle here, and so I think I need to weed out this section and put the hoe through the middle so it can go through the soil as opposed to flood out, because that's clearly what it's doing right now. But now that the subsoil is a little more broken up, I could also bring depth back into here a little better. For example, this section probably needs dredged at the very least, but I could also probably deepen this back area so that it had more backwash options, going from super dry, like things were trying to die on me, to a deluge, 2 back-to-back deluges. It rained all night and it rained good, and then it took a break, and then it rained again mid-morning. Pretty steady drizzle, but you know, I'm trying to keep as much of the water that falls to my property in a controlled non-flooding sense. Yep, so I did flood the street a little bit. Oh well. Alright, well, there's our water tour. After a prolonged drought turned deluge and how my current amendments are going with the high water table atop a cliff, with a little bit of extra information about how it works. Like, why on earth would I have flood risk way up here? Way up here, right? Because I do. I have flood risk. Whoa, why did I say it that way? Flood risk way up here. Oh well. Thanks so much for visiting the Cliffside and all of my water. I hope you're having a really good day. This has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye.